Hey, what is up, guys? Tyler here with Secureteam. Now, before we get to this main topic about the strange objects, more strange objects being captured via satellites out in space, things that we don't quite understand, I briefly want to touch on this polar vortex that is currently hitting us. Now, I know most of you have probably seen this on every news channel. It's been the main topic of discussion everywhere today, so I'm not going to harp on it. You guys know it's freezing cold out. Some would say mercilessly cold, especially if you're in the United States, where we have parts of Chicago, Minnesota, Michigan that are colder than the North Pole and Antarctica, where if you go outside, you will get frostbite within minutes to seconds even, and where we get scenes like this of not only just what appear to be frozen wastelands that used to be thriving cities, but also other very sort of disconcerting pieces of footage like this where they're actually setting fire to the Amtrak train tracks so that they can keep them from freezing, keep the trains moving, because in many of these states, mine included here in Ohio, everything's coming to a standstill. So they're saying it should pass by the end of the week, hopefully, but I just want you guys to be safe out there if you're living in the path of this major cold front. Be safe out there and take care of your animals as well. There's a lot of animals out there that don't have homes, and I'm a big proponent of that. So if you see a homeless kitten or a dog or an animal out there in the cold, at the very least, feed it, bring it in, give it some shelter, take it to a local shelter, and just get it out of there and help it, even if it's for just a few days. Because unlike many of us, a lot of these animals out here are not so lucky, and they need someone to take care of them. So with that, let's get to the main story that I want to talk about today, which is in regards to what they're calling, their words, a mysterious object that astronomers have detected orbiting Earth at a distance of around 300 miles above our planet, and what some have described as a, quote, empty trash bag floating around the Earth. And they've described it as that is because apparently, or according to what they've stated publicly, the object is extremely lightweight. And as with other objects like it, they have very unpredictable orbits, hence the term empty trash bags, because these things are light and apparently they change orbit and they're very hard to track. So they're calling this thing A10BMLZ, and at this point they're totally unclear where this object came from, but they do say that it could be gone within a few months. Now, you're seeing the footage taken by the Northolt Branch observatories, and at first when you have it zoomed all the way out like this, it's really hard to see, but we're zooming in here and circling the object, and we see the stars in the background, and we see the object moving along at a steady pace. And at some points, what some viewers have said, it almost looks as if the object slightly moves or changes its trajectory, almost as if it's under some sort of artificial control. And objects like this, what are classified as Earth satellites, was first spotted by the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System, or ATLAS, telescope in Hawaii. And then we have the Northolt observatories, which found that the object was, quote, extremely lightweight, but several meters across. And scientists have said that this artificial satellite, which, by the way, they don't know what it is yet, they have no idea what it is likely nothing more than a piece of light material such as metallic foil left behind from a rocket launch. But what is strange about this is the distance that this thing has been spotted out there, upwards of 600 kilometers or 300 miles, which is much further than any typical piece of space junk that came off of a rocket or something like that would usually be found. And really, from what I can gather, the only reason that they're even putting forth the theory that it could be a piece of foil from a rocket they had launched was simply because of the size of the object, and that it was, quote, lightweight. But other than that, there is no other evidence that it came from a launch. There is nothing. All we have is the footage of the artificial object moving. Now, as I said, they don't know where the object came from, and the object has further puzzled astronomers after they noticed that it was traveling in a retrograde orbit instead of a prograde orbit. The orbit is highly elliptical, with a perigee of just 600 kilometers above the Earth's surface, but an apogee 1.4 times as far out as the moon, which is put into a little bit more context for you guys from this image here, which is showing exactly how the object is coming in, swinging back out, and almost reaching the moon. It's like this thing is slingshotting right around Earth, coming as close as just 600 miles above the surface of our planet, and then almost slingshotting itself back out as if to meet up with the moon, with this very elliptical orbit. And it is this very unpredictable orbit that is one of several reasons why astronomers are having trouble figuring out where it came from, with an analyst from Project Pluto stating, quote, "At present, we have no idea as to the origin of this object, and that is mostly because its trajectory is really uncertain. It may zig and zag in unpredictable ways." And so, from what I can gather here, the object is changing its trajectory. And once again, we have a very quick answer from the observatories, stating that, well, because the object is so lightweight that it is easily pushed around by the pressure from the sun's radiation, making it impossible to predict what direction it will move to in the future. So this is funny to me because this sounds very familiar to the recent discovery of that elongated cigar-shaped object that was, again, discovered to be blasting through our solar system from interstellar space. Remember, they named the object Oumuamua, and whatever the object was, we had never seen anything shaped like it before. It wasn't from our neighborhood. It was coming into our solar system from out in interstellar space, and made its way around our sun, and also changed its speed and velocity before exiting. Now, that object was so strange, so mysterious, that a couple of Harvard researchers even put out a paper stating that the object could be an artificial alien object. And more to the point, which is where we start to see similarities with this so-called empty trash bag object discovered Friday, was that they stated that because Oumuamua was so thin that it could have very well been an alien probe that was constructed in the form of what they called an alien solar sail. And that basically there could be potentially hundreds or thousands or even millions of these alien light sails floating around space, making their way through various different solar systems, comprised of nothing more than a thin piece of foil-like material, just like we're seeing in this new object here, and that would use the sun's radiation to get around, to change direction, to change speed, velocity. And so it's very similar that we've now captured another object here, that as far as space junk goes or pieces off of rockets, it just doesn't fit the bill because it's way too far out. And from the data we have, it's also very thin, and it's also changing velocities and speeds and changing its orbit. And it even has a very elliptical orbit where it's almost going all the way out and could potentially, if it goes a little bit further or changes its orbit just slightly, could actually rendezvous and meet up with the moon. So that opens up a whole bunch of other theories that we could discuss about what this object could possibly be. So I'll put the link to this down below. You guys tell me what you think, but we've been seeing many more of these strange objects out in space, almost sort of swinging by, checking out Earth lately. Some of them aren't even from our neighborhood and are just swinging in, passing Earth, and heading back out. And these things are in shapes that we've never seen before. They are somehow able to change speeds and velocities and directions by themselves, which is something that simple space rocks and space junk can't do. So that has to make you wonder, what is propelling these objects? So I will leave that question for you guys. Tell me what you think below. Strange object captured, shadowing Earth 600 miles up. We'll continue to follow the story. And with that, guys, I'm going to jump off here. Be safe out there, especially if you're in one of these freezing cold areas. Make sure you're stocked up on food and water and portable heaters just in case power goes out, because you never know when the stuff could happen. So thank you guys for tuning in today. As always, stay tuned, stay safe, and I'll see you back in just a bit.